1, position 2, position 3, and position 4. Okay, this long-range 4-way cable thing bears a bunch of explanation. So this is a longer video, but I encourage you to watch it all the way to the end to be able to unpack all the nuance. So first of all, let's talk about setup. I've got my cable machine, I've got my incline bench, and my incline bench is set up to 30, 40 degrees. Mine just has pegs, you might have numbers. You're gonna be about this angle. If it gets any flatter, it kind of doesn't really pull correctly. If you get any higher, again, you're trying to set up so it's pulling essentially down and across your body. As far as the anchors go, now I have a particular machine that has the anchors really close by. You might be in a commercial gym where the anchors are kind of more like in the 8 feet apart and you're kind of pulling across, in which case I recommend you pull this one behind the back, pull this one behind the back so that you're coming across. Otherwise you just don't really get, like if the anchor is here and your arms don't get pulled back behind you, which is the goal. In terms of weight and load, this is 20 pounds total, so not very much. I started with 5 pounds each side, 10 total. I've had people start this totally unloaded. It just depends on the nature of what you got going on. So let's talk about the positions first, or the positions second, and then we'll talk about the nuances of the movement. So position 1 is my hands are completely down by my sides. Okay, there's a tendency people kind of want to blur them together, but we're trying to be very specific. And the reason is because this kind of couples different things together, and you'll notice and feel different things as you get into different positions. So I like to just get set up to here, and then just allow my hands to trail back behind me, and my hands are down as opposed to slightly up here. My shoulders are away from the bench and I'm kind of sitting upright towards the top, so don't feel compelled to kind of sit back into the bench. And then from there, I'm maximizing the long range, the stretch, and then coming forward just a little bit. Again, tendency, people want to come all the way up to here and turn this into your sort of ordinary version of a cable, pull, row, fly type of motion. That's the easy part. We're chasing this kind of end range 5%, so it's here to here. This is it. So you may be prescribed somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 10 reps, 15 reps, something like that. Follow your reps. Number 2, I roll my shoulders back into the sockets and my hands are pretty much where they need to be. So if I go from here to here, I don't really have to change much else. This is going to change this from primarily shoulder anchored to a little more towards the chest. I come through, same thing. I'm stretching back behind me and coming up. Position 3 is I like to reset, push my hands out, and then keep my hands just a couple inches above my shoulders or in line with my ears, so I get to about here. You could think of this would be kind of my ordinary fly range if I was going to use dumbbells or cables, but I'm going completely locked out and going to here. Position 4 is I'm now going up overhead, thinking kind of reverse trap 3. My hands are in a Y, too narrow. Now I'm just kind of in the position I was a moment ago, so it's splitting that difference, and I'm getting into that Y position. Okay, so those are the 4 positions, trying to be distinct and methodical with them, so they don't just kind of like blur into, I'm just cruising around and no answer. Okay, we got the setup, we got the positions. What are we trying to accomplish here? So for the purposes of this, I'm just going to use one arm, but this is never going to be one arm, it's just so I can point to stuff. In general, we're almost always going to do our movements like across the board in exercise here. My elbow is going to be slightly flexed. Even at the very bottom of most people's bicep curls, I kind of hang on to a little bit of tension, pull-ups, you name it. People are kind of hanging on to a little bit of the tension and avoiding getting to the very end. We are now sinking into the very end. So the very first thing is I want you to have completely locked out elbows, or, because you don't really have to focus on locking out the elbows necessarily, completely relaxed arms. So I'm thinking of almost pulling forward with my bicep leading the way, as opposed to pulling forward, knuckles leading the way. This has just turned it into a bicep movement, okay? I'm trying to get into the specific musculature, the linkages of the shoulder, bicep, and chest by way of getting out to here. Second thing is not allowing this to fall short. So you're trying to truly reach back behind you. Now that may not come immediately. You may feel all sorts of different stuff light up. When I first started doing this, and why I was apprehensive at first, but I'm so confident in this movement now, is my elbow couldn't stand the tension of being out here. Just being out at range and asking this muscle right here to be long was untenable. And now I've increased weight, I've overcome injuries, kind of like little setbacks doing jiu-jitsu, and this is totally fine, okay? Allowing it to stretch and keeping locked up the whole time. If you can't and you feel like you're getting through here, lighten the load, totally fine. The last thing is having a mind-muscle connection about what these ranges are so that you can feel whether or not you're in the right place. This is difficult on a remote basis. If you're standing right here next to me and you're in this thing or whatever it is, it's very easy for me to just be like, okay, change your hands a little bit, change this, change that. In general, per position, what I'm trying to feel here is tension through my elbow, through my bicep, and through right here on the front of my shoulder. If you feel it other places, it's not like it's bad, but all other things equal, that's what I'm going for. As I roll back into the sockets here, this distinctly changes a little more to the outside front of the shoulder, and then it starts to creep into the chest. As soon as I get up to here, the shoulder pretty much disappears. I'm not really loading my shoulder in any meaningful way, and I feel this very distinctly boom across here and the bicep as well. As I get up into here, and this would probably be the position where you want to be the most cautious just because it gets the most pinchy on the shoulders. Packing that shoulder down and back into the sockets, and then reaching back, opposite of reverse, or opposite of a trap 3 raise. And I feel this very much down through here, a bit into the lat. Bicep disappears a little bit, and it ends up being this more, for lack of a better term, your armpit muscles. There's a whole bunch of other musculature that gets captured along the way, but another conversation for another movement. In general, my goal would be to, if I sit a lot, I'm opening that up. Athletically, if I throw a lot, I'm trying to reach into that very back space and have good tension here so that as I wind up and throw, I'm not pulling against tissue that isn't comfortable being that long. In generating length, I have also generated better positions for myself, lack of shoulder issues as people get into push and pull and various things. And a lot of the nooks and crannies that have plagued people for weeks and months and years, and they've done everything and they can't get through it, this has ended up being the solve. Be patient. I've loaded this over maybe 8 months, very slowly, like 2 pounds at a time, but it has done wonders for my shoulders. So again, long video, hopefully made it to the end. Rewatch it, reach out if you have questions, send me form video, please, please, please send me form video, and look forward to hearing how good this feels for you.